Hey there. Welcome to another episode of Heart and Hustle, Visionary Healers, Movers, and Shakers. I am your host, Paulette Rees-Denis, here to bring you magic makers from around the globe, people who are creating change, who have small businesses, large businesses, hobbies, but they are creating the life of their dreams. And that, my friends, is what living is all about. So let us know how you like this episode. Please subscribe, and we'll see you there. Thanks for joining. All right, here we go. Welcome to another episode of Heart and Hustle. I am Paulette Rees-Denis. I am your movement motivator, your passion instigator, your glamping, guitar strumming crazy thing living here in California. And I'm so excited to bring another episode of Heart and Hustle to you. And today we have Wendy Cole from the East Coast. Wendy, welcome.
Thank you for having me, Paulette. I'm so glad to be here and meet you.
I know. I'm so glad. I'm so glad. We got all kinds of things we can talk about today. I'm so glad everybody else out there is with us for another episode. I'm into my 200th episodes.
6 years?
6 years.
Congratulations. That's wonderful.
Isn't it great? It's so great. So many fabulous people. And, you know, it's so great to connect with you and with all of them in this format. I love this format.
I absolutely love this format too.
I know.
So much so that I'm now co-hosting my own podcast.
Excellent. What's it called?
Demystifying the Transgender Journey.
Okay. And has that been going on for a while, or is it just
We
started?
launched on February 28th.
Oh, so it's really new.
7 episodes are out.
Excellent. Congratulations.
And we're working on more episodes to come during the process.
Is it a podcast that you are doing by yourself, or do you have guests?
I have guests, and we've already interviewed 3 people, a parent of a transgender person, and 2 transmasculine people.
Okay.
So we're also interviewing doctors, psychologists, medical professionals, and others who support the community. And the whole purpose of that podcast is to educate the rest of society.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I think that's beautiful. And yes, because we all do need to be educated. You know, there's all kinds of questions and ideas, but introducing you as trans, and what's unique with you is that you waited till you were 67.
Right. And unbeknownst to some people, that was not a choice. I tried the transition in 1970, 71.
Oof. Wow. Yeah. And what happened?
Oh, I was a case study patient in a hospital conference room in front of a group of psychiatrists. These are all MD professionals. I talked for maybe 3 or 4 minutes. One of them stood up, looked around the room, said, "I'll see you all next quarter. I've heard all I need to hear." Looked at me and said, "You're a freak. You should move to New York City and turn tricks like the rest of them." And that's when I found out that this was considered at that time psychological, no treatment, no cure.
Mm.
And guess when that changed?
When?
2012. It's only been 13 years.
A lot has changed since then.
A lot has changed. It got really good, then it is heading in the other direction.
Oh, God. I don't even want to go there.
No.
Oh, geez. But anyway, so tell me about your choice at age 67.
Well, I had spent my entire life repressing all these feelings. This is something that people are very confused over also. How does this happen? In the second trimester of birth, That's when sexual differentiation begins to occur in the fetus.
Mm-hmm.
And most people are only focused on the body. Well, in the brain, it also goes through its differentiation between the sexes. The amygdala is where sexual orientation is formed, and gender identity is formed in the frontal cortex of the brain. Both those, sexual orientation and gender, are hardwired in the brain.
Mm.
All the conversion therapy in the world won't change them. And that's why people like myself I got to age 3, 4, 5. I
Mhm.
knew I felt different. I didn't know what it was. But also, when you're born, the doctor spreads the legs and says, it's a boy or it's a girl. It's based on physical anatomy of the genitals. Period. That's it. At best, it's a guess. For most people, it's absolutely correct.
Mhm.
They're congruent. The gender identity in the brain, the sexual orientation, all of that was formed and it's congruent with the physical anatomy.
Mhm.
In my case, it wasn't.
Mhm.
But that's also when you're born, that's when the socialization begins with parents, the immediate family, the extended family. And as you get into school and make friends and all of that, you begin to find out that, yeah, okay, I feel comfortable playing with other girls, but my father wants me to play sports.
Right.
You
So,
get all of these socialization guidelines that are imposed on you by the people and the adults in your life. So I knew it was really wrong to tell my parents I was a girl. I told them at age 10.
and then what happened?
They threatened to have me committed to a psychiatric facility and fixed. So all I'd ever heard was once, and this is doctors talking to my parents. Oh, once he has a career, a wife, a house, and a family, he'll forget all about being a girl.
Oh my
And he's too
God.
young to diagnose as a transsexual, which is what we were called back then. And a little transvestism is normal for young boys. Okay. Well, it never went away. And I was getting out of college. I couldn't stand it. I didn't want to live like this.
Mhm.
And that's when I tried it,
Mhm.
1970, 71. And it was a complete failure. And also keep in mind, and this is something that the young people today don't understand. Back then, there was no internet. There was no Google.
Right.
There were no cell phones.
Yeah.
There was no information on any of this. It's only been within the last 10 years that I found out how much was going on, and it was truly underground
Mhm. Mhm.
in Manhattan, in San Francisco. And also, what most people are not aware of is back in those days, people like me, and when I was out in public as myself in the 1970s and 71, I was still terrified because if a policeman saw and kind of figured out that I was assigned male at birth, I'd be arrested,
Mhm.
thrown in jail, fined, and my name published in the paper. That was in California and New York State. I knew those two for fact. And San Francisco and in Manhattan.
So where were you living? You were in San Francisco?
I was 40 miles north of New York City.
Oh, okay. All right.
And I
Were
had
you
no
were
clue
you
what.
dressing as a woman then?
Very privately, very secretly. And the psychiatrist that I was working with when I was trying to transition had me coming out to people in my apartment building and people that I could safely, at least somewhat come out to.
Mhm.
And that was not a problem. The problem came into basically was the medical profession.
Mhm.
There is zero support for it. I found out in over the last 10 years, I found out that uh, people were getting estrogen and getting medical care and all of that off the street.
Ooh.
There was no support for anything. So that's why I waited until 67. And at age 67, I was ready to cash out,
Mm.
check out, go away, end my life. And that's when I decided I would check one last time and see if my diagnosis had changed. And it did in 2012.
Wowee. That
I
is
didn't
amazing.
waste any time. I didn't wait. I went and I told my wife at the time, guess what? Everything's changed. I'm going to go find a therapist and see what's going on with this. I have no idea.
And
And
how was your wife with that?
uh, this is something that I was trying to repress
Mhm.
and live through. It doesn't work. I was under so much stress. We had the house, we had the kids, we had the career, we had all of this, living the American dream.
Right, right, right.
And I woke her up one night in my sleep talking about being a woman. She demanded an explanation. I told her I expected to be divorced by morning. And she decided as long as I didn't do anything about this, we would stay together.
Hmm.
So in 2015, when I announced that I'm seeing a therapist and I started in January, she said, okay. In February, when I announced that I have to go try hormone replacement therapy. I have no idea if that's going to help me feel better or what, but I have to try it. So I did. And her response to it was, we didn't discuss it. I said, there's nothing to discuss. This is something I need to do for me. I've dealt with this for 67
My
years
gosh.
and I need to do something. I have no idea if I'm even going to like living as a woman. No idea if I can pull it off. No idea if I can even do it. But I have to try. And it was the other thing I came to the realization of in the month of January that year was I have no idea what my future would look like.
Mhm.
I'm not going to even try and guess. There's no way to know. Just do. And
Well, I mean, such uh, desperation, but courage and just listening. You finally get a chance to do this thing.
well, one of the things that I've since discovered also, because the community that I moved into, which was about 40 miles from where I was living at the time in Pennsylvania, um, had a large gay community, New Hope, Pennsylvania.
I love New Hope.
Oh, good. You've been there.
I used to live right outside of there.
Oh,
Yeah,
cool. Where?
in Bucks County,
Okay. Yeah.
Doylestown. Yeah.
I was I was working in New England for Digital Equipment Corporation when they were going out of business, and they transferred me to the Philadelphia sales office. So I was there, and that's how I wound up in Bucks County.
Ah, New Hope. Oh my gosh, I love it. Well, perfect.
But that was the perfect place for me.
Hmm.
Um, my my first week or so there, uh, I got flowers at my front door. Welcome to the neighborhood, Chad and Jason, number 15.
Oh,
Figured gay people are going to really understand all about me.
yeah.
Wrong.
Oh,
Couldn't have been nicer. and more curious, but in terms of really having a full understanding of what this is all about and what this life is like
Mhm.
and what the transgender community looks like, which can be very confusing from the outside. Um, that's when I discovered no, they didn't really understand any more than cisgender people do. And I had a 6 hour conversation with Chad and Jason. And I said right at the beginning of it, I'm an open book. Ask me anything you want to, and nothing's off limits. I figured we're all LGBT. What the hell?
Right.
So it was. I'll never forget Jason saying, "You shouldn't have said that in front of Chad." And Chad did ask me every question under the sun. It was fun. I had a blast. We talked for 6 hours from 9 o'clock on a Sunday evening until 3 o'clock Monday morning. I left mind blown, so did they. I lived in New Hope for 5 years. And I've been recognized for having done such a wonderful job of educating the gay community and the cisgender community in that part of Bucks County.
Excellent.
And I think that was the universe putting me there for my purpose.
What years were you there?
From 2015 till 2020.
Oh, that was much later. Oh, I was there way long. I was there in the mid 70s.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
That was when it was definitely the San Francisco of the
Oh
East.
my God, it was so fun. Scott dancing all night. That was right before I moved
Mhm.
to New York City. But
The
anyway,
cartwheel, the prelude, and the raven.
oh my gosh. So, okay, so um, I want to move on a little bit. This is fascinating, and I mean I'm just so proud of you for doing this and undertaking all this. And I can't even imagine so much heartache along the way that you had to suffer, not being able to be your authentic self. Uh,
Exactly.
but now, but so one question is, so how long are you? So this was in, how old are you now? This, you started at 67.
77.
Wow, man,
Yeah, I'm in my 70s.
baby girl, you look fabulous. So how long was the process for you?
I started on January of 2015 with therapy and not even sure what was going on. By April of that year, I was convinced that I was going to do this. I was convinced that I was going to be living full time by sometime that summer.
Okay.
I didn't know any transgender people. I wasn't part of the community. So that's one of the things I didn't have. I didn't have any beliefs because that's what I've learned through going through this whole process. Life is all about possibilities,
Hmm.
and it's our beliefs that either prevent us from achieving those possibilities or mask them from our vision completely. So the belief, which is held by a lot of people in the community, that transition is difficult and takes a long time, I didn't have that. I just knew what I needed to do. I needed to feel right about myself and who I am. And it took me 6 months to transition.
That's all. 6 months.
That's it.
Wow. See, now I would have thought it'd be a much longer process.
For a lot of people and for many, it is.
It is. Okay.
And my statement to a lot of people is you believe it's difficult and it takes a long time, it will.
Yeah, well, that's true. Mindset. There's mindset involved in all of that, of course.
Absolutely.
Wow. So 6 months. Okay. So now you are coaching,
Right.
and you're helping people who are curious about being trans, or people who are going through the process. What exactly are you working on?
Um, I started out with helping people, both in the cross dressing and in the part of the community that I'm in, people who are wanting to live full time. And I was doing that in person. During 2020, I put my website together and I put myself online and put myself out there as a resource to people who were transitioning. And in 2023, I got really annoyed, to say the least, with all the disinformation and outright lies about people like me, put out by politicians and religious people.
Mm.
And that's when I decided I can't fight this any other way but use my voice. And that's when I started podcasting.
Yay. Okay. Excellent.
And I've been on approximately 40 plus podcasts since 2023. And I've now started my own, which I'm co hosting with a lady out of Phoenix, Arizona, Lynn Murphy.
Okay. And is she trans too?
Nope, she's a cisgender woman, knew very little about the LGBT community, married, lives in Phoenix. Wonderful lady, very curious, very open minded. And she wanted to interview me for her podcast and to be a chapter in a second edition of a book that she's working on. Her book is Life Lessons from 50 Inspiring Women.
Mm.
And her publisher wanted a second edition, and only this time put some diversity in it. I'm diversity. So,
I have a t-shirt that says that. I'm diverse.
so we started recording, and one thing led to another, and December and winter of 2024 passed into spring, and we had over 30 hours worth of video recorded. And it was going to be a podcast series. And what we decided was no, we're going to make it its own podcast and we'll co host it together. So I've done one hell of a job educating her.
Uh-huh.
And to her credit, which I'm very impressed with, she dug in. She's asked other people. She's talked with other people. She's read. She's found information. And she's become just as passionate about this as I am. My mission is to humanize being born transgender for the rest of society,
Mm.
at least those who are open minded and willing to listen.
Wow.
And
Yeah, we really need you now too. Ooh, yeah.
and so, in addition to my coaching, I'm doing public speaking, I'm doing the podcasts. I even started Toastmasters so that I can improve my public speaking.
Excellent. That's fantastic. I love it. Love it. Yeah. Yeah.
So, I'm not hiding, that's for sure.
So, okay, so now on a personal level, what do you do for yourself in the form of self-care? And now, especially as a woman, which is,
Right. Well,
nails.
nails. Um, I was joking with my therapist, Stephanie, one day, because I would every time my rule with my wife when I was living at home for those first 6 months of 2015, the rule was you can't leave the house in anything female attire. So I broke the rule. Every Thursday when I went to therapy, I went as Wendy. And I gave myself life tests, what I called life tests, on the way there and on the way home. I would go and do things, be in public, be seen, to see how it felt. I had no idea.
Sure.
So I was joking with her one day. Oh, I've got my nail polish on, but I'm gonna have to take it off when I go home. I can't wait until I can wear it until it chips off. So a lot of self-care is done with taking care of my nails while I'm watching TV in the evening, stuff like that. I go for long walks here in Providence, where I live. There's the river that runs through the city and it runs down to the bay. And I can walk down by Brown University and Rhode Island School of Design along the river and then cross and walk up. I can go for a 6, 7, 8 mile walk. And that's a way of relaxing and getting in touch with myself.
Mhm, mhm.
I can almost reach meditative states while I'm walking.
I hear you. I'm all about that. I do that every day.
Yep.
Got to get outside. Got to be out there.
I've been very much into mindfulness, meditations. I discovered early on in my transition that Joe Dispenza
Mhm.
and Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself was my favorite book of his.
Mm, okay.
And chapter 7 and 8 of that book was pretty much everything I did for myself in order to rewire my brain,
Okay.
change my thought patterns, change that, which also change your emotional state. And the thoughts and emotions form your beliefs. So I had been carrying for 67 years all these beliefs that I needed to repress this. Now I need to embrace this. So I spent, the better part of the first few years deconstructing
Mhm.
all the male socialization that I was forced to absorb and rebuilding back up with mannerisms and behaviors and self acceptance. And for the first time in my life, self love.
Hello.
That was I never had any self love. I could care. You know, most guys care about the suits they wear and how they look when they go to business meetings. I could care less,
Yeah.
had no interest. And now, no, I do care. And
Right.
it's fun and
And
I
it's
enjoy
fun.
it. And it's me.
Absolutely. God. Oh, you must just feel like, I mean, the world is just like all new.
Paulette, I used to fall asleep as a 6 year old, 7 year old, 8 year old, dreaming that when I woke up, my anatomy would be different. I'd be a girl and that my closet would be filled with dresses.
And now,
And now, well, the first 2 years from 25th, beginning of 2015, when I was living full time, to 2017, I still had what I always considered from childhood my birth defect. So, one of the first things I started doing after I started living full time was start looking for a surgeon. Because that was one of the things that had changed in 2012 is now I can also get surgeries.
yeah.
And I found a wonderful doctor, Dr. Rachel Bluebond, at NYU Medical Center. And that's where I had my surgery in August of 2017. Walking down 30th Street on from Penn Station to NYU Medical Center on First Avenue. So that's from 7th Avenue across town.
Hmm, hmm.
And I'm passing by these big black glass windows, storefront windows, Manhattan Street, busy day. I'm standing there looking at myself, going, wow, you finally did it. Everything's congruent now, everything's aligned. And it just felt so wonderful, Paulette. Just
Oh,
felt so wonderful.
I can imagine. Oh,
Yeah.
beautiful.
So,
It's a beautiful story. It's, I can, again, I still feel like the pain that you had to endure and the confusion and the non-acceptance and look at what you've done.
well, it, it suicidal ideation is no stranger to any of us. Um, using alcohol, pot for repression purposes.
Mhm.
That's very common in the community. Um, Anything to help you get through the day, because this never goes away.
Right, right.
And I always tell people, Paulette, that if you've never looked in the mirror and said, I should have been a boy or I should have been a girl, I should have been a man or a woman, if you've never had that feeling, you can't possibly understand this.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
So, my whole thing about educating parents of transgender people, regardless of their age, doesn't matter if they're 14 or 45, there's still a parent relationship there that means something to the person transitioning.
Yeah.
And it's part of their acceptance of who they are. So I try to provide parents and people in general a framework by which they can begin to comprehend what this is all about.
So how did your kids react?
Not well,
No.
initially, especially. Um, my wife, aside from being upset, etc., and it was, oh, it was in June, and then I already had an apartment lined up, and I was moving out by the end of the month and all. And my wife said to me, You're so happy. I'm so upset. And, but you're really pissing me off because you're so happy. I said, Because I'm finally going to get to live the way I should have lived my entire life. And I don't know if I'm going to like it. I don't know what it's going to be like. And I have no idea what my future is. But this is where I'm going. This is the path I'm taking. And off I went. And she looked at me and she said, Well, I'm just so miserable and so unhappy about all of this. I said, Well, I'm sorry. I know, but that's just the way it is. And she said, Well, and I had to laugh at this, and so did she. She said, My first husband left me for another woman. Now my second husband leaves me to become a woman. Both laughed, but divorce was amicable.
Good.
We still communicate.
And your
Um,
kids?
uh, my daughter's coming around.
Hmm.
Um, it was hard for her. I told her on a February evening that I was divorcing her mother. I was going to become a woman. And I kind of expected that she would kind of get it, but no. Didn't say anything. I talked for about an hour and a half. Very few questions, if any, from her. She left, and we didn't talk for 4 days. I finally got her, and I said on the phone, and I said to her, You of all people, I thought would understand. Um, she had graduated from the University of Pennsylvania with a master's in psychology.
Oh, goodness.
And she said, I understand. I studied it. You were my dad. And she hung up. So she was struggling.
That's a lot to take in 1 hour.
Yeah.
You had a whole lifetime, right? That's a lot to take in. Oh,
Oh, yeah.
wow.
But family is the toughest for anyone going through this. Um, I'm, and it was just before 2020, my wife said to, ex-wife now, said to me, it's really good that you moved away and lived away from here. You wouldn't have transitioned nearly as well if you'd stayed with me. I said, I know, thank you. Because when I um, announced that I was going to start hormone replacement therapy,
Mhm.
that's when she said to me, We didn't discuss it.
Mhm.
I said, there's nothing to discuss. This is what I'm doing. There are boundaries, and my transition is one big boundary. And I'm not compromising it
Right.
for
Not
anyone.
exactly. Good for you.
Now, since 2012, when things kind of opened up, the medical community support, you have therapists that will work with this now, everything like that. A lot of people get the idea that, yeah, we can stay married. Well, the majority of the time, it doesn't work out. I've even had clients and potential clients tell me, well, my wife told me she's not a lesbian and she's not going to be married to a woman. I said, yeah, that's what my wife said to me. And I highly recommend that you respect her wishes and respect her as the cisgender heterosexual woman that she is.
Right.
She needs to be with a guy. That was her expectations when she married me, that she was marrying a man. Well, between the ears, I was never a man. Gender is between the ears, not the legs.
I love that
Remember?
quote. I saw your quote on your page. Yeah, that's good. So, wow. We need your voice. I'm so excited for you to be doing the work that you're doing. I'm so excited for you to be living the life that you have wanted, and now you have it.
Yeah.
And you get to play.
Uh-huh. I, Paulette, I even tried dating heterosexual men.
How'd that go?
Great.
Yay!
That was another thing I repressed my entire life. I told you the sexual orientation gets formed in the amygdala. Well, gender and that was formed as a heterosexual female.
Right.
Well, my male representative, as I call him, or my male facsimile, was not gay. I had no attraction to men at the time.
Uh-huh.
This confused my gay friends a lot. But no, it didn't work for me. So, but after surgery, I got curious. Let's give it a try. We'll see what happens. I don't know if I'm going to like it or not.
Oh,
It was good.
good. That's a whole nother thing.
Yeah, well, right now, because of my visibility, being online, doing podcasts, doing interviews, speaking, all of that, me kind of dating is out of off limits for most guys. They can't handle it.
Yeah.
And when I was dating, I never revealed to them that I'd transitioned.
Hmm.
And after the pandemic, I decided, well, and I was online and everything, I decided, well, I'll try it, but I put it in my dating profile that I'd transitioned. Forget it.
Sure. Well, I think it's scary if you don't know enough about it and you're
Right.
educating people. So, um,
And that's not a priority for me at the moment. It would be nice, but whatever. I'm
wow.
more interested in my work and
Manifest that man. You never know.
well,
So,
I actually did go meet with some people at a matchmaking service, which was very interesting.
okay. Well, we need to wrap this up. So that could be another conversation. But anyway, Wendy, thank you. Thank you for your boldness. Thank you for your openness, your courageousness, your voice.
And one of the things that I've learned over the last 10 years too, from a lot of my friends in the LGBT, especially the gay space, men and women, none of us come out because we're courageous. We come out to survive. The courage comes in when you have to face other people.
We come out to survive. I love that. That's really
That's
powerful.
something
That's really
that is
powerful statement right there. That should be like, headlines or bumper
mhm,
stickers or something.
right.
So,
I have
yeah. Anyway, wow. I'm gonna just thank you again for being here, and I'm gonna thank everybody out in Heart and Hustle Land for a super fabulous conversation, much needed conversation, for education and curiosity and knowledge. Um, and you know, so many things are changing, and it's such a beautiful world in so many ways.
mhm,
So many ways. So many possibilities. Too beautiful. So,
and that's what life is all about is possibilities.
right. Absolutely right. To be a possibilitarian. What I always say. That's one of my mottos as a coach. So anyway, Wendy Cole was here with us today. Thank you. I'm Paulette Rees-Denis. I am your host, and just love bringing you these conversations. So if you have questions for me or for Wendy, all the information, all the contact information is in the blog post. And let us know what your thoughts are, what your questions are, and how you feel about this conversation. Let's keep the conversation alive. I think that's beautiful. So again, thank you. Thank you, Wendy. Thank you,
Thank you for
everybody.
having me here today, Paulette.
Yes, absolutely. Until we meet again.